Felix as Romeo, not to be mistaken with Felix the cat as Roameo, is quite an interesting cartoon that I can actually find next to nothing about. And somebody uploaded this to YouTube. I thank them for doing this. The quality is not very good because of obviously how old it is, and it obviously hasn't been preserved that well. But from what I can gather in the picture, he has this love interest, and there are hearts coming out of his head, and he hugs her, and they seem to be getting on well. But then he flies off, quite literally, and begins to try and impress this other cat. And this other cat, based on the illustration of the animation, looks a lot more sophisticated and a lot more elegant. And it's kind of like he's got his eyes set on somebody better, to put that in air quotes. And he starts bullfighting and doing things to impress her, hoping to win this other cat. And it's a very peculiar kind of story of how he's being, well, roaming. I get from what I'm. This is entirely my perception, based purely on the animation. So I'd be very interested to know if it's actually about something different, and I've read something else into it. Because when there's no context, you can often read different things into animations. So usually I will have the context. I can't find anything about it. So it's a fun experience because I don't know what they're trying to say, because it's not obvious. Again, partly because the quality of the animation is a little bit fuzzy. But from what I can see, he's roaming around trying to impress these different cats. And he's a bit of a Romeo character, but for these various cats between whom he seems to be roaming. And I thought it worked quite well from what I could see, from what I understand of it. This is obviously kind of a review of what I've seen in a discussion, but more so I'm saying, please tell me if you have any context on this, if you know more about it, or indeed if there's a better quality version of it that's been preserved somewhere. I'd be very keen to see that. But if it is about what I've read into it, then I think that's a really interesting concept, particularly with how it concludes. But I won't say how it ends because I don't want to spoil it. It's a bit of an enigma, but what I saw I thought was very interesting and thought-provoking. I had a lot of fun trying to work out what it could be about with no other context and not the clearest of images. Do feel free to check it out on YouTube and let me know how you interpret it as well. It's definitely not my favourite Felix cartoon, of course. But, Felix is a very complex character. Sometimes he's likeable, sometimes he's mischievous. Either way, Romeo is pretty good.